Hello, guys. Welcome to season 2 of Fit Girl Talk Radio. Woo, I'm like super excited about this. If you're listening on a podcast platform like usual, welcome back. And if you are watching us on YouTube, hello. I am so excited. I know nothing about YouTube. So bear with me as I learn this process. And if it's just like a terrible YouTube channel, I am so sorry. But if you are listening on a podcast platform, hop over to YouTube and check out the video so you can see my face and you can see our lovely guest who I'm getting ready to introduce. And also, I wanted to say thank you so much to everybody that was a part of season 1, listeners and guests and sponsors. Like, I'm blown away. I took the whole month of October off of all things Fit Girl Talk Radio to give myself a break. I didn't look at anything. When I circled back around a couple of days ago to check things out, I saw that we reached listeners in all 50 states, which I had known that. Countries, 57 countries across the world. We still got like 5,000 downloads the month of October, even though nothing was released. So I was shocked by that. So I am so grateful. And this has been such a fun journey. I'm so excited for season 2. I can't wait to bring on new guests and bring back old guests. It's going to be a lot of fun. So welcome back. Here's to season 2. We have on an awesome guest. Her name is Sierra Maguire. I met Sierra pre-COVID at a Defiance Fuel photo shoot. Shout out to Defiance Fuel. If anybody's interested in their products, I know that I have a link in my personal bio. Sierra might have one in hers. I'm not sure. We both have coupon codes or whatever. Check it out. That's how we met. Sierra is amazing. She is gorgeous. If you are watching us on YouTube, I mean, she is like all things confidence and beauty and like womanhood. She's a certified personal trainer. She's a hairstylist. She's a makeup artist. She shares her style, like her clothes. Like seriously, when you think of somebody that is confident, healthy, self-loved, like it is her. And her page is so much fun to follow. She shares workouts and hair tips, makeup tips, clothes tips, where to shop, fitness clothes, regular clothes. She's a mom. She's literally like a Jack or Jane of all trades. So Sierra, welcome, and tell us even more about who you are.
Thank you so much. You are so sweet. I appreciate all of the love. I feel like when we met, I was just like naturally drawn to you, and I'm so honored to be on this podcast. But all things aside, I will just kind of jump into my brief little like bio. My journey with health and wellness has kind of been a constant throughout all of my life. I was a cheerleader growing up and a dancer, but I've obviously had the ebbs and flows of health and wellness, right? So I would say I got more serious into like nutrition and weight training and strength training and just being in the gym more consistently, like 5.5 years ago. Shortly prior to that, I had suffered from an eating disorder for a short amount of time, and I really kind of knew I needed to make a change. So that all started like 5.5 years ago. I am also a former bikini competitor, but now I'm just like currently living like a super balanced and healthy lifestyle. I try to have no restrictions with myself anymore. And I just really try to live every day to its fullest. And I am, as Sarah said, a certified personal trainer. I am a hairstylist and makeup artist. I also am a social media manager for a marketing company. So I do all of the things. I'm a mom. I am extremely passionate, obviously, about that job. That's the most important job of my life. And yeah, my goals like in life are just to live my most passionate and like most fulfilled life that I can. No, I'm not perfect by any means, but I try to lead with confidence and lead by example every single day.
So I love that you said that you were kind of like, we were drawn to each other at the photo shoot because you know how those things are. It's like you're in a kind of uncomfortable situation with like 20 people you don't know.
Right.
And we like just ended up hanging out the whole time. So it's nice to find somebody that you're comfortable with, that like kind of vibes with you, and you can kind of relax at those situations, you know?
Right. Yeah. Because I didn't know, and I don't know about you, I didn't know anyone prior to that. I
I did not
had
either.
recently, so I just moved back from Kansas City last July. So I'd really only been back in St. Louis for like 6 months prior to that photo shoot. So it was really nice to like go and meet new people, but obviously build those friendships and connections too. So yeah, it was
Yes. And so I did learn at that shoot that you were past bikini competitor as well.
mhm.
So I think we were kind of drawn to each other on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what league did you compete in?
I competed in NPC as a bikini competitor.
How many shows did you do?
Four in like 2 years, I think, 4 or 5.
That's
I
good.
can't
That's
remember.
enough.
Yeah, it was enough. Needless to say, I've done it in 2 years, 3 years. And I think
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Retired. Hung up the
Yes.
heels.
Retired for now. Hanging those
Yeah.
heels up.
Yeah, I know. Like I like can't admit that I'm officially done. Like I don't want to say like never, but I'm pretty sure I'm done, but you never
Yeah,
know.
I'm the same. Like I'll never say never, but not right now.
Yeah,
That's
same.
kind of what I tell people.
Which I think kind of leads me into where we're heading with this episode, because you mentioned that now you live a healthy, balanced life with no restrictions. And if anybody's listening that has listened to my prior episodes with any competitors, I know they're so sick of hearing me say this, but I feel the need to say it every single time, that the way you see competitors eating and training and weighing their food and counting every macro, is all for the sport.
Mhm.
Um, it's not normal dieting behaviors. It
Right.
is necessary to compete, though. If you want to be competitive and get on stage, it's absolutely necessary. So it's something you're thinking about. Be prepared. If you're just a regular, normal non-athlete watching the way that we have done all of that, don't think that's what you need to do because you don't. Okay, so I always have to give that disclaimer.
It's so true though. A lot of people, like you look at professional athletes and they eat and they train a certain way, and the general population, they don't try to compare to a professional athlete. But in the same sense, it's like we are doing the same thing when you're training for a competition, and it's just more, I want to say, I don't know the word I'm looking for, like popular. You see those people more
Yeah.
often than you would see a professional athlete. So you think that's normal because it's in your realm of like your
Yes.
life more than a professional athlete. But as Sarah stated, that's not normal general population behavior and dieting behaviors at all.
And it takes a lot of time to transition out of it, at least for me personally and a lot of
Whew.
competitors I know. Not just the mental aspect of watching your body change back to what a normal healthy body should be, but also
Right.
letting go of those behaviors is super challenging. So you probably still have your times where it's not easy too, and those
Yep.
things creep in your head, like, should I be eating this or should I be weighing that? Should I not be doing this? So anyway, I digress. That's a whole nother episode.
Right.
But so let's talk protein because protein is king. And I think that anybody that is interested in fitness, health, weight loss, gaining muscle, whatever, they are aware that they need protein first and foremost. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what that means and what that looks like for different people. So let's dive in. Do you have a starting place or do you want me to start?
Yeah, no, I was prepared. I did my homework. I'm ready to go.
Yes.
So I'm going to kind of talk about, and Sarah, interrupt me anytime, just what protein is, why we need it, how much we need it, signs you're not getting enough, so on and so forth. And again, Sarah, if you want to elaborate on anything, jump in or add, your opinion because we may have different opinions. But I'm speaking in terms of what I go off of for myself and for my clients. But protein, as Sarah stated, is king, right? So it is a macronutrient. If you're familiar with macros, it is one of the three macros that our bodies need in abundance to survive. The other two are fats and carbohydrates. You have protein, fats, carbohydrates. We're not going to get into the fats and carbs today. We're just going to kind of discuss protein. So we need to eat protein in order to maintain the structure of cells in our hair, our bones, the connective tissue, enzymes in our bodies that digest the food that we're eating. We need protein for the antibodies that keep our immune system functioning, which is extremely important right now, given the state of COVID and what we are currently going through. To build muscle strength, and muscle mass, we need protein. We need protein for energy. Each gram of protein you eat provides 4 calories of energy to your body. And again, we're just speaking on protein today, but for 1 gram of protein, it is 4 calories. So
I
I'm
want to
kind
just touch on that because
yeah.
I do have an episode in the past with a trainer named Danny, and we talk macros 101. So if you guys have questions on that, go all the way back to that episode. But what Sierra is essentially getting at is that we can only get calories from 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbs. That's it. So that is it. The numbers vary. We're not talking about the rest of them right now. We don't want to confuse anybody. So right now, 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. Okay, so that's where calories come from. And that's kind of where we're going to stop with that. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no, that episode that you're talking about is likely really good to listen prior to this one or right after, just to kind of
Yes.
get a full grasp of macros. And then obviously we're delving a little more deeper into protein.
Yes.
So I kind of briefly discussed like why we need protein or why it's important. And again, I just want to recap the why. It builds lean muscle mass. And I'm generally speaking, this is for males and females. Females, you can eat an abundance of protein and it's going to benefit your body. You're not going to bulk up.
Bulk up. The terror of bulking up.
Yes. Yeah. It's not going to happen, you guys. Like it's not. But it helps build lean muscle mass in your body. It's essential for weight management. Again, protein is king. Maintaining a healthy immune system. We went over that. That is extremely crucial right now. We're going into the winter months and we're also living with COVID, and we all need to keep our immune systems as strong and healthy as possible. And
You
then
absolutely need all 3 macros. So if you're on a diet
yes,
that's not all 3, you need to reevaluate.
100%. And then for, primarily females, we want to support our hair and our nails, and protein helps us do that. So those are like my 4, I would say, main quote unquote whys as to why protein is important.
Yes. I always think like when I am telling somebody like the super basics of protein, especially if there's somebody that works out, um, every time you're working out, you're ripping up your muscles so
Mm-hmm.
they can rebuild stronger, bigger, better. Um, and you need the protein to repair that. They're like little doctors that come in and repair so it can get bigger. And I did want to say that, like Sarah said, you're not going to bulk up just because you lift weights and eat protein. Like when you see somebody bikini figure physique whatever competitor online and you're like, wow, they're way too big, I want nothing to do with that. That's fine if you think that, but let me tell you that the amount of food they are eating and the way they are training is not going to touch whatever it is that you're doing. It's not going to touch what I'm doing or what Sierra's doing. So don't be
Yeah,
scared.
well, and I think one thing that's commonly overlooked whenever you see people on social media or even at the gym, and they have more muscle mass, they are more toned. I hate that word, but I'm speaking in terms of the general population, right? That's what most people say. That's what most people think. They don't think about the years that individual has put into their training. You're not going to bulk up and look like a pro bodybuilder if you start lifting weights for 2 months. It's impossible. It's not going to happen.
Literally impossible. If that was the way, we'd all be professional full-time bodybuilders because we'd be making a lot of money off of it.
Yeah. And
So
Sarah, I don't know how long you've been training, but hold
that's
on
okay.
1 second.
This is what's so funny about doing the YouTube, because in the past I could just crop like anything out like that had happened, and it's not a big deal because
It's real life. My son got a cell phone and I forgot.
That is fine.
Mom life.
Yes.
So what? Oh, Sarah, I don't know how long you've been training and training for a purpose, or like you said, you used to compete.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's been 5.5 years. I don't look bulky. You know, it's like that time that people put in, it's not going to happen from eating protein and strength training, like Sarah said.
Absolutely agree. Yes. And I'm actually in a phase currently right now. I have been for probably about 6 months to a year, where I'm no longer trying to build shape or gain muscle. That's not my reason for working out or eating a certain way anymore. But you bet your bottom that I'm still making protein my number one macro at each meal. Anytime I eat, I want to know if I'm getting in protein, for a lot of
Yeah,
reasons too, and it keeps you
absolutely.
full. So it's part of your meal.
Yeah, Sarah, like you said, it keeps you full. So satiety, I would
Yes.
add to that list of 4 things as to why you need protein. It satiates your body longer than the other
Yes. Macros.
3 macronutrients.
So, Sierra, how much do we need? What do you recommend? Because I know that this number, even though it's a small range, it does tend to vary from coach to trainer to female to male. So, what do you recommend?
It does. I would say for, again, this is speaking on general population, females or males who just want to live a healthy lifestyle and make sure they're getting an adequate amount of protein. I generally suggest zero point 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Uh, if you're extremely active, I would maybe increase that to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So, and if you want me to like go into like a breakdown of numbers for somebody, I can. But
Not necessarily. I think that if just know whoever's listening, if you want to do the math on it, that it's not per pound, it's per kilogram. So first get your body weight into kilograms and then do the math from there. And I think those are good numbers to look at. I kind of always start with the 1 gram per kilogram because
mhm,
it's super easy that way to just kind of
yes,
start there and
yep,
then adjust it from there. I mean, if if you weigh 200 pounds and you don't need to be eating 200 grams of
no,
protein. I mean, like when people, and obviously that's per pound, not kilogram, but be realistic in what it is and kind of
yeah,
start there.
absolutely.
Yes. So I also think that Sierra probably does this too, but when I start with a nutrition program for a client, I start with protein and then I adjust my other macros for that client from there with the carbs and fat. Is that how you start too?
Yeah, if I have a client that is maybe not as familiar with tracking macros, or they're maybe a little resistant to learning because it is a learning curve and you have to do research, you have to do your homework whenever you start a program like that. I will calculate their amount of protein needed that I believe will benefit them. And then I will calculate their calories. So I will tell them, here's what I want you to do for the next 4 weeks, the next 2 weeks, whatever the case may be. It's going to be different each client or each individual. Track your protein, hit that protein goal every single day. If it's 100 grams of protein, hit that every day. And then the rest of your calories, just hit that calorie number. So I will give them calories and I will give them protein. That way you can kind of slowly get into the habits and into tracking macros
Yes.
one day at a time, one step at a time, so it's not so overwhelming.
So, what are some of your best sources that you recommend for protein? And let's start with a regular person that eats all foods.
So eggs, egg whites, chicken, ground turkey, lean ground beef. Now it doesn't have to be lean ground beef. Again, I'm going off of literally just what's off the top of my head, the things that I eat a lot.
I like that you said that because I feel like that's personally something that I'm adjusting out of. I used to only make sure that my beef was, 96 or 97%
Right.
lean. And the more I'm backing away from intense tracking, I realize like, oh, it is okay to have 80/20
Absolutely.
beef. Especially, I realize that I tend to eat a very low-fat diet,
Mhm.
naturally with the food sources that I choose, probably because from when I was competing.
Yep.
So
Old habits die hard.
exactly. So,
Yep.
I started to realize that when I'm not tracking, my fat is really, really low, and ladies, especially, you need your fat, and I know we're not talking about that right now, but for your skin and your hair, and your brain. So sometimes I specifically now pick the
Yeah,
higher fat meat because,
absolutely.
it's one of the only places I'm getting my fat from. Okay, continue with your other
Yeah,
sources.
no, I'm glad you added that in because again, like I said, it doesn't have to be lean ground beef. It can
Right.
be 80/20. It can be ground bison, which is
Mm,
delicious, by the
mhm.
way.
Yeah,
And I try to buy my meats like organic when I can.
yeah.
What else would I say? Greek yogurt is great, really high protein content in Greek yogurt for a small amount. So if you have trouble hitting your protein, things like that will help. Uh, Protein powder, and I only say that for convenience. So like post workout, it's great if you're not going straight home to have a meal. Protein is extremely important post workout. So I
Huge
always
fan of
suggest,
protein powder for my clients, yes.
yeah,
Uh,
and strictly from or out of convenience.
exactly. It's not like it's some superior protein source, it's
Right.
not, it's just easy, and now the quality of it is, I mean, you probably remember, like, 5 years ago, protein has come a long
Oh,
way. It
so
used
far.
to
Yeah.
be, like, so chunky and chalky, so if you're somebody that tried it 5 years ago, like, go to GNC and try something different now, because it's so good,
Yes.
so what was I
Oh,
gonna
chicken's a big one. Chicken breasts, chicken thighs, ground chicken.
yeah, fish.
Yep. Fish, salmon. I'm trying to think what I'm missing.
I do know, since we talked on powder, I always get the question from new clients about what makes a good powder, what should they be looking for to buy? So do you have any suggestions on that?
Honestly, I really feel like that's individually based on what you like, what tastes good, what your body can digest well. So some protein powders, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, I don't feel like they digest and they sit well in my body. So you kind of, to me, it's like trial and error. Does it work for you? Does it not work for you? But I would really just suggest kind of being in tune with how you feel and what you enjoy. I'm not sure if you, what do you suggest for your clients?
Right. Well, I will say that there are a ton of companies now that you can go online and order samples of. So
Yes,
do
absolutely.
that before you get a 2 pound jug of it. But I like to make sure that the protein powder always is giving you at least a minimum of 20 grams of protein per
Yes.
serving. And I personally like for it to be low carb and low fat, so like under 2 grams of sugar. Because I know a lot of people are going to mix it with fruit, and
Yep.
I just think that there's a difference between strictly getting protein powder or getting a meal replacement, and to be aware of what it
Yeah.
is that you're looking for when you're doing that.
There's a huge difference in the two. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a good point.
and some people will make a smoothie at home and they don't realize that it's, 800 calories. So
Yep,
I think that that's just something to be aware of when you're picking a powder.
for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, but let's talk about people that don't eat a lot of meat or don't eat any meat. What are some I'm sure you've had some clients like this. So what are some of the main things that you recommend? We don't have to go all the way vegan because it is so hard.
Yeah,
But
that's tricky.
it really is. And do you want to
It's
tell them
doable.
why? Maybe some people don't know why, the complete protein versus incomplete protein.
I honestly I don't feel comfortable going into that
Okay.
only because I'm not as experienced with a non-traditional diet, if that
So I
makes
love
sense.
that you said that because I always have to go back into my like old books and everything when I have vegan clients or vegetarian clients, because if you're listening and this is something you're considering doing or you are new and you have been doing it, be aware that the protein sources that you are eating may not be complete proteins. And you can't just eat a bunch of nuts and call it a protein.
Right.
So, understanding that some combinations you need to make with your food choices to make a complete protein is crucial and it's super important. So, I'm so glad that you said that you aren't super comfortable with it, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm not either.
Yeah.
That's why I kinda, like, threw it at you to see if you had
I'm throwing it
anything.
back.
So I'm a meat eater, so I
Yep.
can
Same.
absolutely work with vegans and vegetarians. It just takes extra work and research on my end to make sure that I'm giving the appropriate and healthy plan.
Yeah, and to your point, it takes research on the client's end too. So I think and you can elaborate on this if you want, for a client to be successful, they have to be doing the work on their end. When I started tracking macros, I had no idea what I was doing. I hired a coach. She told me what macros to eat. That's really about it. I got on YouTube. I did research online. I taught myself because it's a new habit. It's like a new job. I mean, it's not that serious, but you have to do the work on your end to educate yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to stick with you long term when you're not
Absolutely, yeah.
working with a coach. So,
Yes,
if you are vegetarian or vegan, do your research on your end as well. Because a coach you
absolutely.
hire, they might not, they know what they're doing in terms of being your coach. But if they're not, again, like Sarah and I, extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? Experienced
Yeah.
themselves, then I have a hard time suggesting it to someone else. If I've not lived it, if I've not done it myself, I don't feel comfortable sharing the information, if that makes sense.
And, I always ask too because I've had people reach out to me like, "Are you comfortable coaching with, working with vegans or vegetarians?" And I always ask why, like, why are you a vegetarian?
Yeah,
It you know, it is it for, like, animal rights beliefs and things like that? That's one thing, I get that,
absolutely.
but is it for because you think you have to see results? Like I said a while back in this episode, you need all 3 macros. You have to. We have them for a reason. You can't just cut out one forever and be healthy. You
Right.
can't. So anyway, I digress. The last thing I wanted to touch on as far as protein is, I get this question a lot. How much protein should you be eating per meal? Like, how much can you get away with? Because sometimes people see their numbers and they're like, whoa, that's a lot of protein. I don't know how I'm going to get it in. How much can I eat at one time?
So here's what I suggest as a starting point. Think about, so for instance, I eat like 5 meals a day on like a perfect day. That's typical, whether it be a snack, 3 meals, two smaller meals, whatever the case may be. I eat 5 times a day.
Right.
So for my clients, what I will do is say, take those 5 meals, maybe you only eat four, and divide the amount of protein that you're supposed to be eating per day, divide it by four, divide it by five, divide it by six. This is going to be completely different depending on, again, how many meals you eat. Now, if you only eat once per day, we're going to need to discuss some other things because you can't eat 100 grams of protein at one time and it like
Right.
work well
Because
for your body.
exactly, your body will not digest it as what your coach is wanting you to have it for. It'll just have it store or it'll just flush out. Like it's
Yep.
just not going to do what it's needed to do. I think that I think men are a little different than women, and I know that 99% of our listeners are women. So I mean I like to not go too much over 30-35
Yes,
grams
same.
per
Yeah, I
meal.
would say like 25 to 32,
Yeah.
35-ish is a good range.
Yeah. And I think I just it's just so important. You see it all the time. You see it all over social media. You hear it from registered dietitians, from nutrition coaches, from yada yadas. It's about balance, right?
Mhm.
And it's about finding something sustainable. And you may just hear that as noise and in one ear at the other, but we're trying to preach that so hard because we know what it's like to not be
Yep.
balanced and doing something sustainable. It doesn't last. It might work temporarily, but it comes back. You're not happy. You're stressed about it all the time. Your life should not revolve around your meals, around your diet.
No. Nope.
So learning actually the components of what protein is and when to get it, how to get it, what to look at when you're out to eat, ways to grab it at the gas station. It's so important to just make it something sustainable.
Yep. And to your point, how to get it, if you don't want to weigh everything out and you want to maybe like visualize things a little bit better, 4 ounces of protein source is usually about the size of the palm of your hand. So if you're looking at whether it be a chicken breast, if it's about the size of your palm, that's going to be about 4 ounces of chicken, 4 ounces of beef. And that generally yields about like Sarah and I talked about like 20, I would say anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of
Yeah.
protein, depending on what you're eating. So that's a good rule of thumb too. And make sure at each meal you're getting a palm size full of protein.
Yeah. And if you're at a restaurant and for some reason they give you some big old steak, okay, it's okay to eat it, if you want it, but also you don't have to, you eat half of
Right.
it, eat about the palm size, save the rest for 4 hours from later and finish it,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yes, good tips. Sierra, anything else you wanted to touch on protein before we wrap up?
No, I think we kind of went over everything.
I think we definitely did. So you guys, I did want to say that Sierra and I are going to do a giveaway for something really awesome from her. So I'll let you tell them what it is, and then I'll tell them how they can get it.
Okay. So I am going to be offering you guys a chance to there's one of two things that you can choose from. So it's either $25 off a cut and color service with me, and I am in like St. Louis, Southern Illinois area. Or you can choose to get a complimentary training program from me. So it's either one or the other. And Sarah will kind of go into how you can get that.
Yeah, so if you're not in the St. Louis area, then you can do the program. Like she said, she does that
Yep.
online. She can coach you online. So that would be awesome. Okay, so as always, you can find the details of how to enter to win that giveaway on our Instagram page at Fit Girl Talk Radio. I'm thinking I'm going to have you follow Sierra. What's your Instagram handle?
It's just my name, Sierra Maguire.
Sierra Maguire. I'll obviously tag her in all of her socials and the details of this podcast, yada, yada. So you're probably going to follow her. You're probably going to follow Fit Girl Talk Radio. I may or may not do something with having you subscribe to YouTube. I don't want people to feel pressured to do that though, because if you don't YouTube, that's fine. Like I never YouTubed until today. So I get it. So I'm deciding if I'm going to make that an extra entry or not. We'll see. So yeah, make sure you enter to win that. Give her a follow. Like I said, her page is so good. It's so much fitness, nutrition, style, makeup, hair, so much good stuff. Real life, real momhood. So give it a follow. Sierra, thank you for being on. Thank you for being my first guest on YouTube.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, I hope to have you on again soon. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, honey.